quite the final live stream of the year, but the penultimate. Daniela, welcome back. How are you doing?
Good evening. Well, I can't believe it's Christmas in 2 days. It definitely doesn't feel like it, also weather-wise. And
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a strange thing that those of us that come from kind of cold countries, it seems really strange celebrating Christmas in the sunshine, doesn't it?
Yeah, but because well, the weather was so bad the last couple of weeks, but well, we urgently needed the rain. I think
Yeah, sure.
everyone was aware of that as well. But yeah, well, today it was like 22 degrees all of a sudden again, and yeah, and so if there weren't any Christmas decorations, you wouldn't know that it's Christmas, and it's
I know.
how fast the year ended or ends now.
Yeah.
Time is just flying.
So, Daniela, we're going to try and take a sort of reflective time over this past year. Does it seem to you like it seems to me that the beginning of the year seems like a very long time ago, but it seems to at the same time have ratcheted up to this point in time really quickly at the same time? Is it really sort of uh,
This year I think, well, there were so many things going on. It was so busy again after COVID as well. I mean, this was
sure?
the first year after 2 years when people were able, when there were when the travel restrictions were lifted. So there were many people of our community that have holiday homes that couldn't fly out for 2 years. They couldn't be,
Right.
weren't able to go into their own properties here for 2 years or to come on holiday.
Yeah.
And I mean, this was the first year this was possible again. So there, of course, yeah, well, the occupancy of the holiday lettings, people coming themselves into their own properties finally again, the businesses finally picking up, like the restaurants and shops, to trying to make up for the loss or losses of the last couple of
Yeah.
years.
Sure.
So, and I remember we were sitting here not long ago and it was boiling hot. It was August and it was so busy. And
Right.
well, and in 2 days now it's Christmas. It's
Yeah.
incredible.
Well, you kind of know what's been happening in terms of the tourism. Yeah, I mean, I've seen the tourists, but you're involved with holiday rentals, and I guess from what you're saying, it's been a good year for your
Definitely.
well, for the owners. Yeah,
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I'm also happy for the people that they were able to visit us again. And I mean, you could tell by the queues in the supermarkets, or I mean, in the supermarket still surprises me. Oh, well, no, this year we had the biggest problem was no ice cubes,
no
remember?
ice cubes. Yeah, I know.
That was the drama of the year, I think. No ice cubes.
And there was a very simple reason for it. That certainly for the small ice producer, we have a friend who has an ice cube factory here in Mijas, and basically what they would normally do is make the ice cubes and store them for the summer. But with the price of electricity, all the small manufacturers decided that they wouldn't do that. I mean, his monthly electricity bill was around 18,000 euros. So you can, and that's with not using some of the freezers, you know.
Yeah,
So
okay.
you can imagine what it would have been like if they'd been storing it up and keeping it for the summer.
Well, yeah, that's of course what people didn't understand. And I mean, well, nowadays you can buy also these little ice makers in the shops, which are not the same because they're smaller and they don't last that long.
Yeah,
But I
yeah,
think if there's a drama of the year 2022, it was
yeah.
no ice cubes in the
The
shops.
year of the year of the ice cube, or the year of the no
Yes.
ice cube.
And
Yeah.
then there were people in the community posting, "Oh, I've seen ice cubes in this and that shop." And then the family members were saying, "Why do you tell the other people? Don't tell them where we got them from." And yeah, but
Yeah.
that was yeah, I think well, it didn't last that long. I think
No, I think overall it kind of picked up, didn't it? But if we go back a bit in the year, I don't really remember much about January last year. I think I was sober all the time, but I don't remember much about it. But
no, January was the first year. Then also when the Three King parades were taking place again.
all right, okay,
That was so the children, I think, were very happy about that. I think much more. Well, I was out of order more or less in January. I was just about to give birth,
indeed,
but
yes,
I remember definitely that the families were so happy that the Three King celebrations were taking place again.
yeah,
That
yeah.
made many children very happy.
Yes, so you'll have your own little addition to the family to take to the Three Kings parades this year, yeah?
Probably. We took him
Oh,
to the
next year, yeah.
Malaga lights, and I mean, he's not even a year old, but he couldn't believe his eyes with all these flashing lights and that. Because in Calahonda, we don't have Christmas lights, we've got
No, you
one or
don't.
two, but they're not even working.
That's a
So
sore point with a lot of people I know.
that was the other drama of the year to the end of the year. The biggest fear was then also, will we get Christmas lights this year outside La Cala and Mijas Pueblo?
Yeah. And I guess the answer to that was no, you didn't.
We have a couple in Calahonda. I think I've never seen them on. I don't know if they're working. I think they tried to plant a lot, and also, like, I think Torre Nueva and that they got quite some nice things.
Right.
Riviera, I think, didn't get anything, or they are all disappointed. So
Yeah, yeah. Well, there's not much we can do about it. We just have to say that it's the way it is,
yeah.
certainly at the moment. So that was January, and the
Hmm.
Kings were back on parade. Um, February, there were some other things happening, weren't there? Which
Yeah,
I'm
then when
sure.
everyone thought we had overcome COVID, the world is back to normal, then the Ukraine war started. And I think that was, yeah, a big shock, or something totally unexpected in a way.
Yeah,
And that was, again, the time. Well, I don't remember exactly when we did it, but then the community got together. We were collecting the donations.
sure.
On one side, the town hall, they had a big storage. Collect, I don't know how many tons of donations in total we collected in Mijas, and we
Yeah,
had another collection point here in Calahonda. And remember, Ellie and Nick from
yeah,
Diving with Nick, they were driving our local donations up themselves to the border. And yeah, it was amazing to see, like, yeah, how everyone was willing to help again, and that's
yeah.
always nice to see.
And on their way back, we managed to catch up with them in Prague, and we did a live stream one morning with them,
True.
and
Yeah.
that was really really great. And yeah, I mean, I think there's lots of divisions in any society, but I think what is great is to see people coming together for common cause, and I think the people of Mijas really outdid themselves. And the driving job that Nick and Ellie did up to the Ukraine was a tremendous piece of work.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so I don't know if we're going to go through it month by month because I can't remember
Well,
what
that's going
happened.
to be difficult. I think. I think in
March,
March, it started more or less that more people were coming out,
right?
and then let me just check. Easter was in April. Yeah, so March, Easter. Then most of the people then started coming again.
Right. So yeah, we had the Easter processions again this year. Um, I tend not to take part in these because I'm not a religious person. Kind of expected that councillors do take part in them, but I think that's fine if people are doing that as a personal
Of
act
course.
of faith. But I tend not to get involved in it. But I know that it's a big thing not just for the Spanish community, but because those who are down here for Easter really, I think, enjoy, the spectacle of the Easter processions.
Yeah. No, and I think then with Semana Santa also then slowly we started having events in general again, on the beach, or the restaurants were getting busier, so they have started to have live music again, and so
Yeah.
it finally, well, it felt like getting back to normal.
Yeah, I mean, I think certainly by summer, things really felt, I don't know, I would say familiar. After the 2 years of the new normal, they started to feel familiar again.
Yeah,
And I start to get grumpy when there's so many people in. Well, I live near La Cala, and there's so many people and so much traffic and nowhere to, well, hard to get parking, harder to get
yeah,
parking, I should say. And that felt kind of normal again this
yes,
summer.
definitely. No, also driving to Marbella or well into La
Oh, yeah.
Cala. Well, now also with the building with the roadworks, there is an absolute nightmare.
Yes, yeah. And that we have the pleasure of the chaos in La Cala at least until I think the end of February
Yeah.
next year. So yeah, I do try to avoid taking the car into La Cala if I possibly can.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Makes sense. No, and I think then, well, it started also for the especially for the hospitality businesses to be able to breathe again. Then and then the summer, I think July and August, we had the occupancy rate on the whole Costa del Sol was the highest since many years, and
yes.
it was people were so happy to be back,
Mm,
and the businesses finally recovered a bit from those terrible 2 years when they had to
yeah,
close. People got employed again, so things looked well quite normal. Apart from the masks that when you go to the doctors or on public transport, or that's the only
yeah.
thing we have left behind, I
I think
think.
pharmacies as well.
Yeah.
I think you still have to wear them. Yeah.
Well, no, but not even in all of the pharmacies they wear
No,
them. So it depends also where you go. But
no.
at the medical centers, obviously, yes.
Vicky got caught short because she was going to renew her driving license and went to one of the clinics that do
Mm-hmm. The
the
test.
tests and things. And as she was standing waiting to, and this was actually to make the appointment. It's masks must be worn when entering this building, and it's like, I haven't got a mask because we stopped carrying them around with us.
Yeah, I forget it many times as well. I walk into the chemist and then, oops, yeah, now I remember. I think there's we'll have to do that for a while.
Yeah,
There's
I think that they are talking about masks on transport until next March, I think, unless they
mm,
change their minds. Yeah. So, so you've had a very busy year, Daniela, with
everyone, I
the
think.
holiday letting. Yeah. I know my year has been normally in the summer. Things kind of quietened down a little bit, but it didn't this summer. It just went full pace all the way through the summer and never stopped. And well, it was good in many ways, but it's quite demanding at the same time when
Of course.
everybody wants a piece of you. Yes.
Yeah, I know. And I have a baby now, which is also like, ah.
Yeah. So remind us when Nick was born.
3rd of February.
The 3rd of February.
Yeah.
Okay. So
And
my
I
goodness.
started working 2 weeks after he was born again. I mean, people were still also while I was giving birth, contacting me, although they knew I was in hospital giving birth, had questions about electric invoices or something they
Right.
received.
Right.
So, but I started working, yeah, 2 weeks later because he was like sleeping from the beginning through the night. So, and
Wow.
then it was these you get the weeks off for maternity leave or paternity leave, and I still got, you can take them in one go, the 3 months, or
Right.
you can take, well, 2 weeks here, 3 weeks there. However, I still got some time weeks left because I
Right.
had no time to take them.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I should really, and every time I think like, well, let's see if I can squeeze another week or two in here. But then, of course, if you're self-employed, then you can't invoice, then or you're not allowed to work.
Sure.
So
Sure.
no, it has been really, really busy, mad, and
Yeah.
yeah.
And how have things been for the festive season? Do we have a lot of people down here, or
I think so. Yeah. Well, I went to Malaga a couple of nights ago. That was there was chaos on the streets. There was all the car parks were full. Everyone went there to see the Christmas lights.
right?
I think here I have the feeling also that it's very busy, and the holiday lettings also all the places are booked
Right.
over either they come most of them I think come just slightly after Christmas, like on the 26th. There's many bookings or arrivals,
Right.
or people because then they maybe spend Christmas back home with their family first before they flee.
Yes.
And no, everything is booked. And the weather forecast I think looks quite nice. Let me check again, but I think there will be definitely for Christmas same
Yeah.
weather as today, I think. And yeah, so we can, or and I think in the UK and Germany, there are places they have minus 10 degrees already.
Yeah, they've had a very cold snap in the UK. I think it's warmed up a bit, but it's still pretty chilly.
Yeah, but we will. I'm just checking now. We will have temperatures around 20 degrees in the daytime, so
All right.
that's nice. So,
I've got a note from Vicky here. She's saying, "Don't forget the March
oh
red
yeah,
Kalima rain."
gosh,
That was
that's
something
true.
else, wasn't it? She said it was like living on Mars.
Yeah, that was yeah, that's I've totally forgot about that. Yeah, that was felt like the world was coming to an end. Really, that
Yeah,
one day when it was like really orange outside, and it was so scary. And
it was unreal. It was surreal, wasn't it?
yeah,
And to be honest, we have a very long driveway to our house, and it's stone, sort of flagstone type things, and we're still getting when it rains, we're still getting this Kalima mud sort of surfacing, and of course the dogs go out and run through the puddles and then come back in and jump on the
yeah,
sofa with their
uh,
paws all orange.
yeah, yeah. I think all the cleaners I know they were like really crying because they couldn't cope with that sand anymore because of course afterwards all the property owners they wanted their terraces cleaned,
Yes,
and that mud or that sand because it was so fine. And I only had a company in the other day again because the cleaner she couldn't get into these little gaps, or they were still on the terrace and there was still some sand in it. So the owner complained again. So I just had
right.
a company there also to pressure wash it, because there's still in some also in our drive also you can see some leftover still.
Yeah,
So that
yeah,
was also, and it was raining mud. I mean, I've never seen something like that before.
yeah.
We always had a bit of Kalima, but that it felt like this is the last day the Earth is spinning.
Yeah. Sort of, you're getting a feel of what it must have been like at the start of Pompeii,
Yeah,
the sort of mud falling from the
definitely.
sky.
Yeah, and
Yeah, so
also because it was raining back then, and then
yeah,
we
sure.
had this mud rain, and it was absolutely everywhere.
uh Yeah, so, yeah, thanks, Vicky. We'd forgotten about that, but we got
Yeah.
some spectacular photos of it.
Yes. And then, well, then that reminds me in the opposite way, the shortage of water we had this year
Yeah, yeah,
because we definitely didn't have enough rain for quite, well, I would say maybe 2 years that it didn't rain enough.
yeah, sure.
And that we were, you could feel like, especially in August, you could feel that when you had a shower at the, prime time,
Yeah,
that the water pressure was low, and there were well, people were suffering, the ones that have a finca, or like that are rely on well water, like I don't know, the animal charity places, for example.
sure, sure.
And we were many times, I think it was very well, it was just about that we get hose bans as well. Like you got, I think they did it, I had it in the UK this year as well, that
I
then
think
you're
you
not
did.
allowed to wash your car. And in the north of Spain, there were villages or areas where the water was turned off at certain hours of the day.
Right. Okay.
So luckily, although many people, I know I had clients here as well that came, and just like 2 weeks ago, and that was their first holiday also after these 2 years, and then the weather wasn't great. But I think all the residents here, we were like, yeah, finally it's
Yeah.
raining and everything got green again. I mean, that's why
Yeah, and
also,
we have a lot of fruit trees in our finca, and I have to say, well, the oranges are getting more or less ready to pick now, but they're much smaller than
yeah, they're
in
tiny
previous
this year
years.
under. Yeah.
Because we just couldn't use the amount of water that they would have needed to stay really healthy. They've all survived by a bucket of water here and a bucket of water there, but you just couldn't turn on any kind of watering
No.
system. Yeah,
No, that's what I said. Please, well, wash your car as little as possible, because, or be responsible with the water, because if we're not responsible, then they're going to cut it off.
sure. Yeah,
So, and then remember all the fires we had this year again. And I
indeed.
mean,
Yes. Yeah.
one after the other, it felt like. Also, more in our area this time in Mijas.
Yeah, there were quite a number. I mean, we had two fires very close to our house in 2 weeks, and I don't think that's something you actually learn to live with. Really, you're living with the constant
Fear.
fear
Yeah.
of this happening. I don't think you ever get blasé about it. Like it's just another
No.
fire, but because we've seen what level of damage they can do. And I was just last week, I think it was, I was with Val Williams, who, with the Simply Thriving group, raised €3,500 to help with the reforestation project, which I think is a great thing. They wanted to do something for the firefighters, but that was really complicated to do because they're
Mm.
government employees.
Yeah.
So they went for that, but also with Lisa, about a month or so ago, we had an event in Marbella, and there were representatives from all of the security safety services, the police and the fire services,
Hmm.
actually there, and that was a great event, just to say thank you for the fantastic work that these ladies and gentlemen did during the
Definitely.
summer.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I remember the like driving up the way behind La Cala. If you drive up towards the La Cala Golf Resort, or
yeah,
that direction where the fire was, now the rain definitely came in handy, because it was still, everything was black. So
sure.
now with the amount of rain, or also we put in our garden, we put little bowls with water every night,
Uh-huh.
or well, one hanging one for the birds and one on the floor, and we had the amount of hedgehogs that came to drink water,
Yeah,
because
sure.
and then well, you feel so sorry for the animals as well.
Yeah,
So this rain, let's hope we get a bit more, but not too much, that we have to evacuate the animal shelters again. And
yeah. Well, that's the other thing that we live with here as well, isn't it? That
mm,
you never quite get used to it. So yeah, as you say, the rain that we've had so far, I think, has been, I call it good rain, in
hmm,
the sense that it's not so heavy that it just washes everything away. It's heavy enough to create volume, but it actually soaks into the ground, which is fantastic.
yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. You can see it now when you drive around. It's looking much greener already.
yeah.
And yeah.
So what else have you got as memories of? 2022.
Do we speak about negative ones as well?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's all part of life, isn't it?
Well, I think one thing that definitely picked up a bit was the crime story about stealing watches and handbags, and
Yeah,
I think not sure. We have to see the numbers maybe of the end of the year or what they publish. But
sure.
I think that was a big issue, or that was the most negative topic in the community this year.
Yeah,
Because yeah, quite a few people have been robbed of their expensive watch, or so
sure.
that's of course which doesn't mean that, again, I repeat it again and I repeat myself, that it's a dangerous area here where we are, because that can happen to you, well, anywhere in the world, and
Anywhere,
every
absolutely.
German city in America, in the UK. But it feels always like that you hear, or the famous clipboard man.
Yes.
My biggest fear, and now I always wish, I hope I see him, but no, he's not coming near again.
It is also good news that the Guardia Civil have decided to reopen the office in
In
La
La
Cala.
Cala.
And unfortunately, it's by appointment only. I'm not quite sure what that's about, but at least people are not having to go into Fuengirola to make these
Well,
reports.
but still, I can only say I've been in touch with people, they have been robbed, and that most of the people, they don't go to the police and they don't denounce it, which makes it so difficult for the authorities to lock these people away. And I can only say again,
Yeah,
I know, well, if you don't speak Spanish, there are so many people offering these translation services,
yeah, sure.
and I say it every time. And if they don't get denounced for what they're doing, they will never get locked away. So that's as easy as that.
That's true, and you're saying we need to see what the figures are for the end of the year, but these figures are never going to be accurate for the very reason that you've said.
Correct, and I don't
Yeah,
understand. I mean, that's also I like the fact that we discuss so many things on social media, and that it feels like a group or community on social media. But if it's about robberies, if it's about we're unhappy, we have a pothole, the street lights are not working, we have to learn a bit to get this information to the right people, because I think I've said that a few times as well, that the town hall or the mayor is not watching our live streams, it's not in our Facebook groups.
right.
And we have explained it a few times with the Gecko app, and it's so
Sure.
simple in
Yeah,
a way to do it, and it doesn't take long. And that we can't assume that everything we don't feel happy about, or that things needs to be done, that people read our comments on Facebook. So
no,
that's the
no,
same with the robberies. I mean, and it's not as bad anymore. I mean, it's like, I remember from years ago, I've been here 20 years now, and then you had to wait hours and hours and hours if it was a town hall, the police station, or that. So nowadays, well, if they don't speak English, and I think most of the Spanish people, they really do an effort, but again, I mean, don't expect anyone at the medical center to speak your language. That's not
sure. Yeah,
wouldn't the same wouldn't happen in our countries. So and there's people that offer for little money to go with you, and it's so important to do to denounce these things happening, also for
yeah,
the reason that they then later on send more police to drive around the areas. And but if they don't know anything about it, and it's of course difficult to deal with it in both ways, to lock them away or to avoid these things happening.
sure, sure. Okay, anything else?
Let me think. No, I think, well, the biggest disappointment lately was again the Christmas lights. But I think from what I've
Yeah,
seen on Facebook, the restaurants, they are all booked out, I think, for the Christmas dinners and shows, and so, which is a very good sign. So
there you go. Vicky's telling us that 2023 is the year of the rabbit.
Is
I,
that good or bad?
I have no idea. I guess that's in the Chinese
Yeah.
horoscope. Chinese New Year will be sometime around the beginning of February, I guess. And we're going to be the year of the rabbit. So there we go.
But we don't know now, Vicky, if it's good or bad.
I suppose it depends if you're a rabbit or a wolf or something, you know.
Hmm.
So do you celebrate a sort of typical German or British or both Christmas?
Well, we
What
have
you here?
both. On the 24th, we have a traditional German dinner, well, but just at home. And then on
Yeah,
the 25th, we meet the rest of the family and have Christmas lunch. And in between, hopefully, some time off, some lazy time. Yeah, I will. She's saying to look it up. Lazy time, some relaxing before the because next week again is super busy.
right.
Uh, and then yeah, and it's incredible. And then it's January already, the year 2023.
Yeah.
It's can't believe it.
So do you have a Weihnachtsgans ready for your German?
No,
No?
we have
You,
a we don't. Well, and many Germans do that, yes. But
yeah, the
we no,
goose. Yeah,
we
yeah.
have some beef, uh,
All right.
but then
Okay.
with German gravy sauce and Kartoffelknödel,
All right. Okay.
which are the German potato like gnocchis, but German
Yeah,
size.
they're sort of German depth charges, aren't they?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, Daniela, thank you so much for all all your participation on the live streams this year. We've had some really good shows on
Yes,
this year, some really interesting people. And can I wish you and your lovely family a fantastic Christmas time. I do hope you get some time off.
yes. I hope so too.
And
I wish you all the same, and thank you for all your effort, for everything you do for our community. I
yeah,
think that well, what would we do without you? It would be very difficult to spread the word, and of course, and I think I should mention, and you wouldn't mention it maybe, but I will, that we have the elections coming up in May, and that's something for the next year. Everyone, we've been sharing that on social media as well.
sure.
How that so the most important thing is to get registered until the 15th of January,
Yeah,
and then we can the residents, and we well, you have the numbers. You said we are a third of the Mijas population,
yeah,
so we should definitely vote, and yeah, we can decide who gets to spend our council tax money,
yeah.
and that's
You know,
the
some people have been saying to me, "Oh, but I don't know anything about the political system." And what I've said to them is this: Look, get registered, and you've got 5 months to find out.
exactly the
But
most important thing is to get
if
registered.
you don't get registered by the 15th of January, it really doesn't matter whether you understand the system or not, because other people will choose for you.
No, and I'm sure that well, the biggest step is to get registered, and I'm sure until May the parties will come up with their programs and will inform the people more.
Yeah,
So
sure.
just everyone who's a resident, get to down to the town hall, get registered for the to vote, to be able to vote, because yeah, we have this is the only elections we are allowed to vote, the municipal elections,
Sure.
and we pay the same money and the same taxes. So yeah, so we should also decide, yeah, well, who gets to spend our money. I think.
I think so too. I really do. Daniela, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a great Christmas.
You too, and
Try and get
everyone else.
some downtime if you can.
Yes.
And yeah, our wishes to all of you who are listening in, and to those of you who will pick up on this later. Have a great Christmas time. I will be back next Thursday with Mario. They've thrown us a curveball in terms of the date for the council meeting, but we'll fill you in on what's been happening anyway. Take care, everyone.
Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to everyone.
Merry Christmas to everyone. Take care. Have a great time.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.